Hi, I'm Kevin Hatley and welcome to Kevin Hatley Photography. If you were ever to see a bird descending or climbing down a tree head first, you could bet your life on it that it's a nuthatch. What I want to do in this video is share with you how I go about and what my approach is to photographing nuthatches. What I'll do is I'll cover how to identify them, where to find them, the lifestyle and diet, and then finally I'll look at my approach to photographing nuthatches, and I'll also share with you some interesting facts. So let's go. Okay, first thing we're going to look at is how do we identify a nuthatch. Nuthatches are generally about the size of a great tit. They're mainly blue-grey upper parts and orange-brown buff underparts. The one distinguishing feature that you'll find on a nuthatch is the stripe that runs from its bill through its eye to the back of the head. And it also has a short stubby tail. Now when it comes to differentiating between a male and a female nuthatch, it is quite difficult, and I found that really it's only once I've taken the photograph and looked at it that I've been able to tell the difference. But in general, the difference between a male nuthatch and a female nuthatch is that the male tends to be a lot brighter than what the female is. That's in colour, not in intelligence. And the female, as I've suggested, is paler in colour, and the stripe through its eye is brown compared to the male, which is black. Nuthatches are generally very noisy in the woods, and they have quite a distinctive call which goes twee, 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 and here it is now. A nuthatch's diet consists mainly of nuts, seeds and insects. They will eat beech mast, is a favourite of theirs, and they will often come to feeders. One of the best places to actually find nuthatches is at feeder stations, and I know of at least 3 local feeder stations where people put food out for birds, and nuthatches will quite easily come to the feeders. I'm actually sat about 50 metres away from my own feeder station, which I've set up a private wood, and I'll show you that now. As I said earlier, nuthatches are attracted to feeder stations, and that's probably the best opportunity that you're going to get for photographing nuthatches. This is a feeder station that I've set up this year. It's early December 2021. I have permission from a local landowner who has a private wood to set up this feeder station, and I've set this feeder station up, and hopefully it will attract nuthatches in. So what I'll do is I'll show you some pictures now, or some video of nuthatches at a feeder station and how they feed and how they interact with other birds. Nuthatches are great hoarders, and what they'll do is when you watch them, they'll come down onto a feeder, take up a nut, and then they'll fly off into a tree and then stash or cache the nuts in the bark of a tree in preparedness for during winter when times are lean. Okay, where are we going to find nuthatches? Nuthatches prefer good deciduous woodland, like where I'm sitting videoing here, and my feeder station is just, as I said, 50 metres away from me, which will hopefully attract nuthatches. So wooded areas, large wooded parks and gardens. The nuthatches tend to prefer good mature trees like oaks. They tend to be quite aggressive, nuthatches, in defending their territory in pairs, and you'll often see them in conflict with other birds at feeder station. Nuthatches tend to nest in holes in trees or in walls, and they'll often take over old woodpecker nests, and what they'll do is, in the nest hole, if it's a woodpecker's nest hole, they will shore it up with mud to shorten the diameter so that just the nuthatch can get in, and they'll line the nest with soft chip markings. Okay, finally what I want to look at is my approach to photographing nuthatches. I'm sure you can see from the video clips that I've shown already, nuthatches are very quick, very agile. They don't tend to stop around for long. They're normally in, feed, gone within a split second. So shutter speed becomes very important when it comes to photographing nuthatches. There are certain birds that you photograph, you look for the classic pose, and what I mean by that is the likes of a kestrel which is hovering, or a kingfisher with a fish in its mouth, or a real good one that I like is a goldfinch feeding on a teasel. Does the nuthatch have a classic pose? Well, I think it does. And for me, the classic pose or image of a nuthatch is with the nuthatch facing downwards. It's the only bird in the UK that climbs or descends trees in a downward direction. And the image that you're looking for is this image here. And what you're looking at is you're looking at the nuthatch facing downwards with its head sticking out. And for me, this is the classic image of a nuthatch. Okay, what do we do about camera settings? Well, camera settings can be quite subjective. The most important thing, obviously, is the light that's available, and that will depend on what you set your camera settings to. My go-to settings, if I was photographing nuthatches, would be to set my shutter speed at 1,000th of a second, my aperture at f8, and I also always shoot in auto ISO. And then what I would do, depending on the light, is I would alter my shutter speed, but keep an eye on my ISO to try and keep the ISO to around about 1600. But with modern day software, I'm quite happy to go up to about 3200. So my go-to settings for photographing nuthatches would be shutter speed 1/1000th of a second, aperture f.8, and auto ISO. Okay, what I'd like to do now is share with you my favourite pictures of nuthatches, a lot of them which have been taken at feeder stations. As I said, probably the best opportunity to get close to them and to get great photographs. I hope you enjoy them. Thanks for watching this edition of Kevin Hatley Photography and how to photograph nuthatches. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have filming it. Nuthatches for me are one of my favourite birds to photograph. They're quite unique birds. The colours, the shape and the way they go about doing their daily routine and their business. They're great to photograph. So all I would ask is that if you've liked this, could I ask you to hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, Kevin Hatley Photography, it's completely free. Then could I ask you to hit the subscribe button. So until the next time, stay safe, take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.